Welcome to the HERStory Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is HERStory, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the HERStory Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another intriguing woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Well, warm greetings to you, Gertrude. I'm Yolanda Powell, and I hail here from Washington, D.C., and live in the southern suburbs of Maryland with my husband, our dog, Gigi, and are committed to women all over the world by working with WHALE Worldwide, Women of Apostolic Intelligence and Legacy. And that just means women who are at the forefronts of change and committed to doing great things in the world. But it has not always been that way for me. Part of my story is standing as a 17-year-old in a hallway in my high school in Florida, where I had failed the functional literacy test for the second time. I was devastated and knew that I needed to call my mom and tell her the news. When I did, she was petrified because this was a requirement, of course, for graduation. And I could remember sitting in the hallway and talking after that to my guidance counselor, and he was about to lose his wig. He couldn't understand how an average student who was a speech and debate champion and had done all of these things with the Forensic Society could be functionally illiterate, or at least not testing well. And on that third time, he even mentioned, maybe I should take it for you. I knew inside that that wasn't going to happen, and it shouldn't, because I needed to stand up. I needed to show up, and I needed to show my parents and those that loved me in my high school that I was truly a woman who could use words and who could take tests. What I didn't know is that I suffered with dyslexia. The words just seemed to go crisscross on the page, especially during tests. I could remember as I was presenting in my orations, beautiful pieces of prose like the Tosaki Shangeis for colored girls who considered suicide when the rainbow was enough, or Ernest Hemingway's The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. I loved words, but something wasn't quite working with my brain. I certainly found out that I had something to do with some rapid dyslexia problems with deficiency in word formations and wires. And so what I learned to do was to fall in love, ladies, with words. I had an intimacy with prose and poetry, and I learned to hide through the dyslexia and to come to the front of the stage with that passion. And what I learned was that day when I had to call mom and share with her this devastating news is that I began, though, to bury something about myself. I became shameful of who I was in my thinking, and it suddenly closed down my voice. I could not find my way, even after championships, to feel good about myself, because deep inside, you kind of feel dumb, until I learned that dyslexia really wasn't about a lack of effort or a lack of intellect. It just had to do is with how our brains work differently and how we use language. And so what I'm saying to you today is that I took my deficit and my deficiency and I began to build a life of words from the inside out. I began, even as I learned about scripture and some of the ancient scrolls of wisdom books in the Psalms and Proverbs, learn to stand up in the middle of a room in my own bedroom and recite these words until they became a part, not of my brain, but of my belly. And so I developed a framework, an understanding inside of myself that every deficiency could become a rich place of worth. I understood that every pain point could transform into profitability through perspective. So I began to put things together like pain can produce perspective, and perspective, when right, can bring forth a profitability. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about worth and significance and value. And when our voices are buried, our future goes with it. And I knew, even at 17, at 27, at 37, and now almost 67, that there is critical places where we cannot bury the most significant thing in our life. I want to share two more things with you that I think are significant. And it comes, the first, from someone we probably know from the backside in, and that's Daniel Webster. And I found this little quote that goes with voice that really helped me understand why I could not bury who I really was. Daniel Webster said these words. He said, if all my gifts and talents were taken from me by some inscrutable providence, and I had my choice of picking one, I would unhesitatingly ask to keep the power of speaking, for through it, I would quickly recover all the rest. And so I began to develop, and I want to share a framework that would help me and all of the women that I coach to understand that voice is like gold. Voice is like a vault. It's where all our treasures are kept. And so what we did, and I came up with this with the help of some women, Gertrude included, and that's a framework for this thing that has shaped my life. It's voice. It means first be vulnerable. You got to be vulnerable. Start where your pain is and don't back up off of it. It will bring profit. Ownership means I claim my story and I'm not taking it back. I is for inner fire. Find that passion and that love affair, whatever it is, and don't turn around from it. C is connection. Share it with others. That's what the pain becomes. It becomes a bridge to others. And finally, E for empowerment. That's when you own it and you reflect it and you imbibe it and you stand in it and you don't let nobody turn you around. So I just invite you to the great journey of finding your voice, because there is nothing more profitable to you in all the world. And I bless the Lord for that.
Wow, what an incredible story, and just so perfect for what HERStory is all about.
Yeah.
We're all about helping women find their voices, use their voices for good. And it sounds to me you have done just that your whole life.
Yes.
It
has been an interesting journey, because I didn't know that all of these years, voice kept coming to visit me. Voice kept escorting me. Voice kept becoming a part of even how I did my work or my ministry. Voice just never left. Once I married it, it never has left me.
I love it. So let's unpack your story. I remember when we first caught up, you said that silence is a burial.
Yeah.
Can you take us into a moment when you realized that your voice had been buried?
Yeah, it was much later on. I wasn't a teenager. I had really started to do some work in ministry and finding an ability to encourage women through the scriptures, teaching and praying and instructing. And I was given an opportunity to speak, Gertrude, at one of the Bible studies at our church. And literally this man stood up in the middle of the church and said, "I can't listen to you. You're a woman." And I cannot describe clearly how that did something inside of me. It literally it was the first time of confrontation that I realized, whoa, there is this element of misogyny, of resistance to women who have authority and power. But it silently, overtly, I was, I'm going to do it. But inside, I began to bury some of my resilience, some of my determination. And it took me a minute to come out of that cycle just from that one event and an episode.
And it's interesting how that one episode can affect you for a while if you let it, right?
If you let it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps resurfacing in the back of your mind. How effective can I be? How powerful can I impart and share if there are those in the community that don't accept the voices of women? So so I guess that was also part of my pain, but it's also part of why I train and teach women to stand up in the midst and to speak.
Now, how did your dyslexia shape your identity, your confidence, and your communication as a child, as a girl?
Yeah, it made me mousy. As a girl, I didn't know this because I didn't have the diagnosis until I was in high school. But I was pretty mousy and ill-confident. I didn't ever feel comfortable about really sharing how I felt. I didn't know what it was, but because things were always crossing in my thoughts and I wasn't clear in my understanding, I always felt like maybe I should just keep my mouth shut. And so that really was a problem until I met Dale McCall when I got to 9th grade. And she began to say, "There's something about you. You need to be on the speech and debate team." And I thought, how is that possible? I can hardly express myself. But she saw something in me in terms of my reading, poetry or reading literature. She said, "There's something there and we need to go after it."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing. A lot of kids just need one teacher who sees their strengths and it changes a child's life, right?
Absolutely. I support teachers. I think they are our first kind of line of defense and identifiers of potential. And we need to really, applaud them more and more because Miss McCall was really that for me. She just kept pushing out of me that what she saw within me. And I think we have to do that more and more.
I love it. So what shifted inside you when you fell in love with words?
When I fell in love with words, Gertrude, I became a beast. I began to understand that words frame the world, that everything comes out of the oral gate, that decisions, policies, perceptions, all of the opinions, all of the things that establishes things in every sector comes out of written and expressed words. And so it empowered me so greatly. And I realized then that I was a word carrier, a wordsmith, as they say, and that would be something that I would do for the rest of my life. And I've shifted kind of more from ministry to marketplace now, but it doesn't change that core of my being, of being a word carrier, I call it.
I love it. Wow. A word carrier. That's powerful. Really powerful.
Yeah.
Now, many women stay muted for decades. What keeps women silent even when they know they have something powerful to say?
Well, I've had the fortunate opportunity. This will be my 10th year going to the United Nations and being a delegate at the Commission on the Status of Women. And I've learned in those settings that women who come from such diverse backgrounds, whether they're in Rwanda, Croatia, Tiananmen Square, South Africa, apartheid, women in the States, there is this subtle thing that I think comes from just the way we've seen women in history, that we are sub beings, that we
Yeah.
have this sub position. And
Mm.
until we fix that and reposition that across the globe, I think we're always going to fight within ourselves, because we've heard it so many times in so many ways, whether it's personal right up in our face, or if it's on television, or if it's in a classroom or workspace. There's always this subtle thing. And so we silence to be sure we're okay. We hold the word to make sure that we can have a strong defense. And we just don't have to do it. It's a new day, a new world, and we have to speak up and speak out. And I believe the world depends on that. We carry something that the world needs as women, and we cannot be silent any longer.
Oh, man. Now, you work with women in ministry and the marketplace.
Yes.
What common patterns do you see in women who struggle to be heard?
It kind of crosses the barriers. It crosses these used to be barriers, I think, between marketplace women and ministry women, but I'm finding that they're both dealing with the very same thing. One of those are misogyny, where people, and men particularly, and Lord have mercy, some women can be like, women shouldn't do this or that either. But across those two kind of lines would be a demarcation of, still, even if I'm learned, if I'm degreed, if I'm trained, if I'm skilled, if I'm an expert, there's still always, as we know in the pay scale, as we know in the opportunities, still this little caveat where you just may not be the one. And so that crosses both sides of those spectrums. And I'm finding, whether I'm working with women in civic organizations or corporate, or women in ministry who are doing great and phenomenal work, there's always that voice in the back of your head that maybe I just have to do 1,000% more just to be as good.
So if you could redesign how women are taught to use their voices, what would you change?
Well, there is this kind of Old Testament piece that I use, whether I'm working with women in either sphere, that has to do with our design, the design of the human voice.
Mm-hmm.
And the design of the human voice is that we are given and empowered and endowed with the ability to have dominion, to have the ability to rule and to reign and to be royal and regal. And I found that that works. Like, you are not given that by man. You are not given that by system. You are not given that by your boss or your pastor. You are given that by a divine entity that has put this empowerment in you to have rule and domain. And I have found that women straighten their backs out with this, that they really feel like, oh, well, so, and the story is, when you know the truth sets you free.
Yeah.
So there's a chain that breaks on our thinking, on our mindset, on our internal conversation, when we know the truth, that in our very human design, not just our feminine design, in our human design, both male and female, that there is this expression of leadership and the ability to have dominion. And that means to have the ability to speak the light and truth and solution and answers to the problems of the world. So that seems to help when we go that route with male and female, and both, in ministry and marketplace.
So what do you see as being the emotional costs, both personally and globally, when women silence themselves?
I've had the fortunate opportunity to hear women who've been in war-torn zones talk about things that were happening, policies, procedures that were being made, decisions that were made legislatively, and they had no voice, and how their lives were devastated because they thought, let them work it out. And so many times now, I'm finding that around the world, even some of what we're hearing coming out of the Ukraine, is that women are saying, you guys don't get to make decisions like that for us. Like, we are here saying we can work this out. And I think what happens if we don't show up at the front line, and if we don't sit at the table, that then things happen that affect us that we really haven't had any say in. And that say is not just our opinion, it is really sometimes the lifeline, because
Yes.
they carry life and they carry children. They understand things almost in a double, triple, quadruple way.
Yeah.
And so if we're missing that insight, we're missing the answer to the problem. So if we don't speak up, I think our world continues in its current chaos, and that
Mm.
we don't bring the answers. I think that our male counterparts just don't have in themselves. That let the twain be one. Let the two come together and reason and come up with solution. And that's my admonition everywhere I go, everywhere I speak.
Yeah, and there is a need, an injection of feminine energy right now in all types of spaces.
Oh yeah,
In politics, in healthcare, we need to be more visible.
absolutely.
Now, can you share a story of a woman that you coached
Yes.
whose voice transformation shifted her family or her community?
I had one. I'm going to call her Chantel. But Chantel came to me because she was opening up a series of beauty supply and beauty stores and beauty salons. She's beautifully talented and beautiful in herself. And she joined my Propel school in terms of us teaching the propelling voice of the woman. And she was talking about how, as she was young, as a young girl, her stepfather, of course, abused her, did several things to make her feel ugly. And the I guess the crux of this story, she's beautifying all these other women. She is putting their hair, their styles, their salons. She's designing, and yet inside she says, "I never felt beautiful." And I'm
Oh,
thinking, oh my God, this is so tragic. How is it that you're doing this beautiful work in the world, in community, and in business? And she says, every time I look in the mirror, she said she showered 3 and 4 times a day. She would go look in the mirror and just change everything about herself over and over, wig color, this style, this thing, because
mm,
inside. And as she began to go through the voice pieces that we talked about, just learning how to be vulnerable, learning how to own, finding your inner fire, beginning to understand connection and then empowerment, and some of the other things that we did, she began to just come alive and really begin to take the stage and share that story with,
right.
with clients and on stages and at shows, for hair shows in various ways. And she called it the transformation of beauty. And
Oh, wow.
just huge for me to be able to see that
Yeah.
life come alive and not hide behind the work and do the work well. Many times women will do the work, but internally they're still not whole. And
Yes.
but she actually now has bridged those two, and she is just one of the women that always sticks with me, changing that beauty dynamic for her own self.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what does leadership sound like? Not look like, but sound like to you?
Leadership has a sound of precision for me. It's
Hmm.
precise. It knows clearly the end, maybe not always the steps to get there, but it
Yeah.
knows this is what we should be doing. So it has this sound of whew, of a, call it like an arrowhead, like it has a sound of a fast moving
Okay.
arrowhead, and it
Yeah.
goes right to the point. It goes right to the problem, and so that's why it doesn't slack. It doesn't slow. When you're a leader and you have a leadership capacity, it has speed and light to it that
Right.
brings precision and gets us to that pointed point. And I've had the joyful probably I would call it the joyful delight of just finishing my book on leadership. It's called The 3D Leader, a digital, an ancient blueprint for a digital age. And boy, it has been the joy of my life to finally get that out after years and years.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Wow. Now, messages. What message suggests that, I mean, your message suggests that women carry solutions to global challenges. What
Absolutely.
solutions do you see women already holding?
What solutions are they holding
Yes.
presently? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I think that we have solutions probably from A to Z in community, in country, even in continent, from children's and children care and how we care for children. They have solutions, I believe, in elder care, how we do that. I've been reading some of the articles about women who are doing things miraculously and joyfully in military movements
Yes.
and in espionage and things like this, and have been doing that from the beginning. I don't find any place where the positioning and messaging of women is not important. And I think I've shared this with you, that women who are not allowed in, from the Knesset in Israel to the Kremlin to the Oval Office, where women are not standing straight up with men, we're finding things unraveling. But when women are
Mm.
standing in those positions as statisticians, as strategists, as women who have insight about some of the ways in which we do healthcare, how we do monetary systems, how we care for the poor. In this country, we have food issues with SNAP, how we're going to deal with that. Women have those answers, but if they're not at the table and they're not allowed to speak, then we just go into what I would call chaotic community. And women can change chaotic community just by bringing their voice and a basic and kind of a joyful solution to get there. Honey, let's just put some groceries together. Let's put this thing in a bulk system. You go Thursday, I go Saturday. Women have that ability
Yeah.
to make simple what is complex.
And I think our ability to collaborate is a superpower that most men don't have. It's
Collaboration.
like second nature to us,
Yeah.
working with others, empowering others, lifting each other. Yeah, these are solutions to most of the world's problems right now.
That's
Now,
very true.
my last two questions are a bit of a thought experiment.
Okay.
In the first one, I'm going to teleport you back to the younger you.
Okay.
This young woman who was struggling to find her voice
Mm.
eventually found it and started to make a difference. If you could go back and give the younger you three nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those three nuggets of wisdom be?
The first thing I would tell my younger self is, do not bury your voice. That would be always number one. Do not bury your voice. The second thing that I would tell my younger self is, there is power in your perspective and your opinion. So use your voice, use it, and use it daily and widely. And the third thing I would tell my younger self is, girl, get up and tell the world your story. Bring story through your voice. So those would be the three things, Gertrude. Don't bury, don't bury it for sure is the number one. But the last one is, tell it through story. So story voice becomes significant to my younger self, who was mousy and quiet. I would tell her, it's okay. Go ahead and let it rock and let it rip. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I would have fun with her.
They say that the richest places in the world are graveyards because they are full of people who went to their graves with their stories.
Oh my God, that just makes me want to cry. How
Yeah,
much our
incredible.
world has been left in deficit
Yes.
because of voices that were not released and ideas that were never manifested.
And we have to honor our stories. Each and every one of us has got an individual path. You just don't know if your story is going to be somebody else's survival guide, a stepping stone.
Yeah.
We have to share these stories.
We do, and they become bridges, literally, that bring people from the wild wilderness side of darkness to a time of light and
Yeah.
liberation. So we cannot pull back from the storyteller that we must all be.
Okay, now I'm going to go into the last question, or maybe second to last.
Okay.
This one is futuristic, and I'm going to teleport you into the future this time.
Ooh.
And we are going to go and sit and have a conversation with the 90-year-old you.
Ooh.
And she is sitting in her rocking chair, surrounded by her children, her great-grandchildren, her dogs, her cats, whoever's going to be with you in the end. If you could go and have a conversation with that wise woman, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
I would probably say to that 90-year-old wise woman, thank you. I am full of gratitude. Thank you for never giving up, for never staying silent, for never shutting down and turning around, and for rising again like a seed. You were buried, but you shot through the ground and you gave seedling and birthing and blooming and blossoming to my life. And I would just look at her and kiss her on her face and thank her for not giving up, but giving me the power to have voice, to regain my ability, to speak from my belly, to learn the belly secrets, speaking from the belly
Oh,
and not the brain. So I would be full of gratitude. I probably cry the whole time and just do all kinds of things. But to see yourself at 90 is a little different than seeing yourself at 7 or 6. So
yeah.
that really did something in my heart. I felt my I felt my heart palpitate. Like
I
wow.
love it. I love it. That means you get it, because a lot of people don't really get that question.
Yeah.
And I believe that the wise woman is already in us. She's already here. I play with her. I talk to her.
Mhm.
I sit at her knees when
Oh,
I struggle with
wow.
finding answers or solutions to some of my
Yeah.
problems. I teleport into the future and I
My,
sit at
my,
her
my.
knees and I ask her, what is the next step? You need to
Mm,
guide
mm,
me.
Oh,
Because we
wow.
were born with all of the solutions to our life's problems. It's already in us.
It's
What
inside.
I love about what you just said, that we were buried, but we were seeds. I'm actually working on a speech in Brazilian Portuguese.
Wow.
And the title of that speech is They Thought They Had Buried Us, but They Didn't Realize That We Were Seeds.
I love that.
Yeah. So you and I
So
are on the same
we're
page.
on it. We're on it because the capacity of the seed is
Yeah.
made for the ground. It is the
Yes.
incubation place. And so when we're seeds, nothing can bury us.
Oh, I
That's
love it.
beautiful.
This has been
Oh,
such an inspiring interview. Thank you so much. Now,
thank
is there
you.
anything else I should have asked you and I didn't?
I believe the only thing that's really critical is our persistent voice, the ability to keep speaking even when we're not heard or
Mhm.
accepted or
Yeah.
applauded. It's not just speaking to the place where I'm successful, it's speaking despite non success. It's speaking
Mhm.
in spite of what others resist or rebel against in us. So it's really taking on a courageous warrior voice that does not die, not buried, not die, even in the fiercest and darkest positions. I believe that would be something I'd want the ladies to have before we depart.
And the beautiful thing is, if we can show our daughters, our granddaughters how to do it, there will
Yes.
be a new world paradigm.
Whew, I
But we
believe that.
have to be the example of the
Mm.
possibility.
Oh, that is so good. The
All of us.
courageous voice, the warrior voice. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I have so enjoyed connecting with you this
Me
morning and sharing
too.
you with our community. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate you.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast.
Mm.
We are a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you are a woman who feels, I have a story, I have a voice, I want to be heard, here's an expert who can help you get there. Please reach out. You don't have to do it alone. There's experts that can guide you every step of the way. to help you be heard. I had your website at the bottom of the screen so people can refer back to it and contact you.
Thank you.
And if you know another woman who you feel has a story, share this podcast with them.
Yes.
Spread it on your social media so we can have impact. I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Dr. Powell, thank you again for the interview.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the HERStory Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the HERStory Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making HERStory. Thank you.